Lab leak. Lab leaked, most likely the origin of COVID-19 pandemic. Energy Department now says. This is a Wall Street Journal story. When this was said, people lost their minds. How dare you tell me
racist
I made the wrong decision following Fauci and science? How dare you do something like that? Well, the U.S. Energy Department has concluded with low confidence that the COVID pandemic most likely arose from a laboratory leak. The conclusion is the result of new intelligence and is significant because the agency has considerable scientific expertise and oversees a network of U.S. national laboratories, some of which conduct advanced biological research. The FBI previously came to the conclusion that the pandemic was likely the result of a lab leak in 2021 with moderate confidence, and it still holds this view. The Energy Department now joins the FBI in saying the virus likely spread via a mishap at a Chinese laboratory. China, which has placed limits on investigations by the World Health Organization, has disputed that the virus could have leaked from one of its labs and has suggested it emerged outside of China.
Do you hear what you're saying? The low confidence, moderate confidence. And I hate when people say stuff like, man, I hate to say I told you so. I don't. Like, I don't know if I'm a psychic or what's going on with me, Pat. I'm pretty sure you're in the same camp. We were all right. We were right about the lab leak. We were right about natural immunity. We were right about the mask. We were right about lockdowns. We were right about the vaccines, the boosters, ivermectin, Dr. Fauci being a little rat, the WHO. Like, how am I just so right about all this? Like, do I have a crystal ball? Like, how do we know, but all these people didn't? And the fact that they're still coming up, I think it was John Kirby yesterday, Pat. He comes out and he's like, because somebody from, I'm shocked that they asked him, they're like, how do you guys feel about the gain of function research? Are you guys doing it? He said it's necessary for us to, now they're saying that yes, we do gain of function, but we have to figure out this next step. And I sent Rob this link, Rob, on Slack. I'm worried, Pat, because Joe Biden said 8 months ago, or I think almost a year ago, he goes, hey guys, we need money for all this and all that because a second pandemic is coming. Joe Biden said that verbatim. And it scares me, Pat, because we had people like Dr. Yimin Yang. She was on Tucker Carlson last night. She worked for the Chinese government, and she said this is a doctor, Pat. This is not just a regular citizen that just
I had her on 2.5 years ago.
Okay, so you know, and what did she say?
2 years ago.
She goes, the government leaked this to destroy the economy.
We got a strike for that, and they took it down within 48 hours. Do you remember that virologist?
Yep.
You got a strike, and they took it down within 48 hours.
And going to my next point.
Yeah.
Doesn't that should scare the average American that this all came out? China is so protected by our media, by our government, and it just goes to me to ask the question:
by the NBA.
Why? What, Pat? Hold on, Tom. Why? Why is it because we owe them all this money? Is it because they know certain things about it? Like, can you somebody make it make sense to me? How? Why?
You know what I think is needed, Tom. Do you know that movie Erin Brockovich? Is that the movie Erin Brockovich?
Yes.
Yeah, Julia Roberts.
It's the story. I mean, obviously Julia Roberts, but what is the story about?
The story is about chromium, which is there's a chromium chemical that was used to help lubricate pumps at water treatment and water pumps that was in desert community in California. That chromium at a certain percentage caused tremendous cancers and sterility and uterine problems in the people. And Erin Brockovich and another attorney went out there and discovered that they had covered up the spills and the disposal of the chromium.
Yeah.
And so Erin Brockovich brought it to light.
And who was Erin Brockovich?
Erin Brockovich was basically a paralegal that had the guts to go out and do the research, and she partnered with a law firm. And you can read the true story of her, well covered by the LA Times. I don't usually give them credit, but they've written a lot of stories about the real Erin Brockovich and the real story.
And she was a whistleblower. So here's what she ended up doing, right? She went up against the most powerful people, a case against Pacific Gas and Electric Company.
Which is
right?
basically a government entity in California.
And involving groundwater contamination in Hinckley, California. And did she end up winning? Did she end up exposing them? Did lobbyists lose their minds? Did they have to settle for $333 million, the largest settlement ever paid in a direct action lawsuit in the United States history to that date? Yes, she did that. You know what's needed today? What's needed today is one of these relentless lawyers who is not going to give up until they get to the bottom of it. I don't want to say the following line that many of us have said, including myself. You think they're ever going to be held accountable? No, they're not. I don't want to say that. I'm convinced somebody lost a relative, a family, based on the decision that was made, is going to spend and dedicate the rest of their lives to proving all the stupid things that they did, force, manipulate, and that person's going to dedicate their lives to it until we find out about it. I think the market today, just think about this was a niche market in California. We're not talking about
a huge, yeah.
We're talking about, and this ended up becoming a national thing, right? We're talking COVID that came from China, that the president said the China virus, and the lady says, you can't call it China virus. Said, why do you call it China virus? And he said, because it came from China. The flu, called the Spanish flu. It's not offensive when they say the Spanish flu because that's where it came from. So moving forward, everybody has to start calling it the China virus. This is it. Somebody, I believe, that's a true believer is going to go investigate this, and then all of a sudden they're going to say, holy shit. Yeah. If the true believers rise up and go out there and do this, it's going to be a scary sight for a lot of people.
Yeah, I feel like we're living in reality programming, and this is a Netflix special called COVID Confessions, and we're in the middle of season 1, episode 6. Masks don't really work. The virus did come from a lab in China. You know, the vaccine will not prevent you from getting it. The vaccine has side effects. My goodness, I just feel like we're in COVID Confessions, season 1, episode 6, and it just keeps going. But it really makes me nervous because we know, why do we get flu shots back in the day each year? Because the flu runs around the globe. The normal annual flu runs around the globe. And because you have winter in the southern hemisphere, winter in the northern hemisphere, starts Australia, comes up to us. They know what the strains are going to be, and you go in and get your simple little $15 flu shot. These things, influenza and flu-like viruses, and I'm not an epidemiologist or anything, but the next version of it, is usually tougher. And so this part of it makes me nervous, but the front part of it makes me disgusted because I think every week there's some sort of a discussion.
Can you pull out what I just sent you, by the way? Can you pull out what I just sent you?
I think this highlights exactly what we stand for here is the concept of open discussion and debate. Mm-hmm. So for years, if you had an opinion, nobody knew for sure. Yeah. Like,
I agree.
No matter what you say, you didn't know for sure. You had an opinion. But you're entitled to your opinion. The problem is what happened with big tech and collusion with the government is that they shut down opinions. They shut down discourse. You were shadow banned. You were flagged. You were censored. You were striked. You were potentially canceled for expressing an opinion. Okay, and I'm highlighting that opinion here.
I love that.
And that is exactly what we stand for here. Is like you tried to set up a debate with 2 different types of doctors. And one wouldn't come on, pretty prominent doctor, because he didn't want to go against the narrative of the basically the bat versus the lab situation.
Yeah. One was Dr. Mike, who's a famous YouTuber. The other one was Dr. Paul Offit. Dr. Mike agreed to come 3 times. He said yes, yes, yes. Then he said he's busy, and then he made it 50 other videos 2 weeks later, and as busy as he was not busy. He was frightened.
Yes.
He was afraid is what he was. And every other week, Fauci would be on his YouTube channel. So God forbid if he was disloyal to Fauci and the CDC. Dr. Mike is not somebody who was willing to sit down and have a real educated debate with another qualified doctor with a nice resume of Stanford, Harvard, educated. No, because anybody that disagreed with Fauci was not really, they really didn't trust science. That's what
You've
they
given
were.
a platform to a lot of people on those things, including Robert Kennedy. I mean, so the invitation's been open to come have PBD moderate, productive debate between people. And you've spoken. You've had interviews with Robert Kennedy and others.
Yeah.
But here's my question, too, about why? And I'm going to keep saying why. Why is the government so low moderate? They don't want to point at China, and why does the government and Fauci still have that stance? They got skin in the game. That lab, we were sending money, our government with Fauci, right, with the Eco Health Alliance, I guess, to do gain of function, and it leaked. They have skin in the game. They have to be like, well, we kind of. It's not going to be a definite point, but we're not stupid. We get it. You know what I mean? But like you said, Pat, it's going to take one person, hope to God, to be like, okay, listen, enough is enough. Point the finger. Still to this day, you mean 3 years later, I can't say it came from China? Well, do they own us that much that I can't say it out loud without being racist or conspiracy theorist? Because on the way here, Pat, I watched like 8 videos of just MSNBC and everybody going, Trump, what a racist, divisive, and if we let him say China and call it the China virus, I don't give a shit. Maybe we'd be closer to finding out, hey, who leaked it? Who's the person? That lab doesn't have hundreds of thousands of people. How many of you people were in there? Which one of you did it and why? Who the hell are you? Do you have ties to anybody? If we don't get to that point, it's going to happen again, just like Joe Biden said it's going to happen again. And Rob at one point could play that video. The president of the United States said 8 months ago, another pandemic is coming. Can you play, Pat? This is Joe Biden 8 months ago saying he needs more money, and this is what he said about another pandemic. Watch.
We do need more money, but we don't just need more money for vaccines for children eventually. We need more money to plan for the second pandemic. There's going to be another pandemic. We have to think ahead.
What?
And that's not something.
Is he a psychic? How do you know a second pandemic is coming?
Fairly well. That's why
you can stop it, Rob. How does he know? How do you know?
I don't. I mean, because we've had Ebola and SARS. These things occur. So it's not. I'm not.
They're not back to back.
I'm not going to go conspircy theory that he's planning the next pandemic.
No, I didn't say he's planning it. I'm saying, how does he know? Hold on. Don't. I hate when you do this conspiracy shit. It ain't a conspiracy. Pandemics don't happen every year, Adam. They happen in 10 years, in 20. When's the last pandemic? Was it
global
2001?
Pandemic global. Was 100 years ago. But if you're talking about SARS and Ebola,
10 years, 2001 Obama. But how can you say?
What's your point?
My point is he's there. If we don't get to the root of it and say, okay, this is what happened because we're scared about offending a country that I don't give a shit about. Who gives a shit?
All right. Well, then now I agree with you.
Okay.
If you want to get to the point, let's get to the point.
Thank you.
The point is this.
Yes.
China needs to be held accountable.
Period.
Okay.
7 million dead.
That's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, I got you.
To all different sorts of places. So the problem with China, Pat hit the nail on the head with the Aaron Brockovich thing. China has denied. They've covered up. They've been not cooperating with any of the organizations. They're not letting people in there to basically find out exactly what happened here. And in any unsolved mystery, you want to know what the hell happened, who did it, what's the reason why. Now, intelligence agencies, committees have, with confidence, have basically said that it is a lab mishap, not a act of aggression or a bioweapon purposely put out there. But why would China want to basically promote more of the bat theory than the lab theory? Because if it is the lab theory, they are 100% accountable because that's a government agency within China, part of the government. If it is the bat theory, bats fucking fly. It could have come from anywhere, Mongolia, Korea, whatever.
One of those things.
One of those things that happened to be here. Some hungry Chinese guys saw the bat that flew in, took a bite out of its head in a wet market. It's easier to kind of maneuver your way out of that. So that's China's premise. But at the end of the day, I'm not going wild conspiratorial thing here. What I do want to find out, much like you, is what exactly happened with China and get some answers.
Yeah.
Because the end of the day, and then here's the biggest thing is how much money was printed? How many lives were lost? How many potential lawsuits, global lawsuits, could be held liable against China?
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.